Hey, welcome to Witching Hour Tarot. It is the last week of February. Winter is passing. It's kind of the first days of spring here in the Northeast, which is really nice. Always happy to see the seasons change and, things shift, all that fun stuff. Wanted to see what's going on with the collective. I did take the day off today. Oh, thank goodness. Sometimes you feel like, you just get so busy, like round and round and round, and then like you just need some time to like rest and rejuvenate. So like I give myself that time at least like once a month where I'm not traveling or like busy all weekend. So that was that this weekend for me. So I think there's been a lot of it. What's lately been on my mind as like an intuitive is that I feel like we're in like a 10-year cycle. There are a lot of things that have reoccurred since like last summer that haven't happened for me for 10 years. Like I ran into someone who I knew from high school and I hadn't seen them in a decade. I started to ski again. I hadn't skied in a decade. I replaced my TV. I haven't purchased a new TV in a decade. I ice skated again. I hadn't ice skated in a decade. Just like things, there's a longer kind of cycle that's shifting now. And I love to see that, the energy kind of play around. Four of Cups. Yeah, so this is kind of also, this card is, it's water energy. So Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. The Four of Cups is all about, hesitation, but also hesitation for the wrong reasons. Like, not taking opportunities because you think that those opportunities are going to jeopardize your reputation or you're going to lose money or, like miss out on something by taking that opportunity. You can see here in this particular image, like it looks like, they're having some sort of they're plotting something in one regard or another, and that comes even more apparent. You see the scissor, the magnet, and then the coin down here, which I think is a representation as well as all the other three suits, swords, fire, wands, and then pentacles. But there's also like some hesitation, like he's looking over like into whatever this garden is, or if this is a driveway of some sort, thinking about how to move forward. But typically, traditionally, the Four of Cups is being kind of so stuck in your ways that you pass up on things that are good for you because you can't see any other way. King of Wands. So this is a really great card. I love seeing the King of Wands. This is like the most charismatic person in the room, like the ladies' man, like, the life of the party. And you see we have the Emperor here too. So very strong masculine energy on the table right now. This is Aries, Leo, Sag as well. I love this particular image. You see how he's like, holding her and she's also kind of holding him. And there's definitely a very sensual embrace here, but it's very sweet how her body language is kind of like very relaxed, and he's in some sort of stance. It's very complimentary, but the King of Wands here with the Four of Cups, it's very stubborn energy too. There are masculines out there that like, some women like think they can change a person or masculine, and like if his mother couldn't, you certainly cannot, and the thing about also the masculine independence, like you have to respect it. Like it's really hard when they're so adamant about doing what they want and like being in their ego. Like I have an older brother and a younger brother, and it was just really funny when my younger brother started to hit puberty. He was like very into his boundaries, and very into like, no, I'm not gonna do that, no, I don't want to go, no, like, and like he's like, okay. And it's funny because it's like me and three other women in my family that kind of surround him, and he just like was very adamant about like, no, not gonna do that. But there's a stubbornness too, like there's an arrogance as well, like not seeing things in a certain way, because you're just so stuck in your ways, and like So that's kind of the vibe with the Four of Cups and the King of Wands here, like that. But this is very passionate. These kings, they are the poets, the leaders too. They're, you know, very strong leaders. King of Wands, the writers, the musicians, the artists of the world. Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, so the Seven of Pentacles is all about building wealth, but also kind of feeling like what you have isn't good enough, and your quest to build that wealth. In this particular card, you can see that there's a degree of possession with his legs draped over her legs. Like, I don't know, like if as a smaller person, females are generally smaller than men, but like it's a little overwhelming for me when like say my ex-boyfriend would snuggle me like this, like I just like kind of like get off me. Maybe that's a me thing, but there's definitely a degree of possessiveness, so like how he's holding her, and then you also see the ribbon here. So kind of like being afraid to lose what you've built or what you have or the relationships that you have. So maybe that's someone's fear here, whether they're afraid to go forward, they're afraid to lose the relationships that they do have as of now. Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, but there's emotional unfulfillment here. Like someone is not satisfied with the choices that they have made. This is kind of like having everything you could ever want, like the white picket fence, the happy kids, the handsome spouse, beautiful spouse, you know, lots of friends, socialite, you know, everything that someone could want in this world, and still not feeling like it's good enough. Like a lot of people kind of follow the social narrative just for the sake of following the social narrative. Like they're so excited to get married and have kids and like live within the confines of like what makes someone successful. And then, you know, 10, 20 years into it, they're just like, oh my God, I don't want this anymore. It happens all the time too, you know, like people change, and what you want changes, and you know, people evolve, and sometimes in relationships you evolve and the other person doesn't, and like it's hard to make it work when like you've like hit some sort of boundary in the situation, or you've hit like, you know, not like an ick feeling, but just like this isn't gonna go anywhere else. So there's definitely dissatisfaction here, and dissatisfaction, someone's very possessive of the relationships that they do have because they're not satisfied, they're stuck in their ways, you know, they're great, you know, they stand out though. They're very, very charming, and they have the charisma and the capability to kind of to know better, but they're just kind of living, you know, so we have the Four of Swords here. This is a card all about rejuvenation. We've been seeing a lot of the Four of Swords in my readings, like rejuvenation, time down, relaxation, like resting. It's a very restful energy. And maybe that's what someone really needs here. Like they're too stuck up in the narrative and like making things happen at a certain time, that what they really need is to lay down. You know, and like maybe they're getting some feedback too, and they're not really sure how to handle the feedback. And when they get to the end of the day, it's just like they're exhausted, you know, like absolutely exhausted. And they can't even move forward to make a decision, and they just get caught up in their, you know, the hamster wheel of life. So it can get very distracting, and especially when you have so many people around you kind of just like, you know, going with the status quo, like it's very difficult to stand up against it because you get ostracized in the process. Five of Pentacles. Yeah, so this is being left out in the cold. So someone's moved on here to, like, there's been decisions made, and someone doesn't necessarily like the consequences of the decisions that have been made. Maybe it's the King of Wands. So it's kind of just like it's like the grass is always greener concept. Like, you dumped someone to go with someone else, and then it turns out that that person's like a serial cheater, or that person has just as many issues, if not more, than the other person. And you miss out on that other with your ex or whomever because you thought that you could find better. And most of the time when you're in that kind of mindset, like, oh, I can do better, I can find better, like like that's just an awful way to set up any sort of relationship anyway, especially a romantic relationship. It's like not necessarily about who's better, it's like who suits you best. Because like I think that we're all equal in this world. I don't think that anyone is better than the other and what have you, and I get very irritated with people, self-righteous people, because I just think that they're so arrogant. There's arrogance here. It's just like, oh, I can do better than this, and then realizing that you actually can't. Realizing that maybe your judgment wasn't right, and you weren't in the right mind space to even make that kind of decision because you're just so exhausted, So, I don't know, like, I think with relationships too, people apply really, stringent, strict kind of boundaries. And I think the best relationships exist when you have more flexibility in how you receive and communicate with people. Like, when you have these really harsh boundaries with people, no one benefits. Like, you're disconnected, and then the other person doesn't really have the necessary feedback to like improve themselves or to change. And so with that, there's so much literature and language online, like everything's so boundaried, or just like, if this person does this, like never talk to them again. Like, if someone like ghosts you, like never talk to them again. Like, they let the dead live or whatever. Or if someone like yells at you in public, like never talk to that person again. And it's good. It's a good boundary, obviously, to make with people when they're being abusive, and you're like, no, you can't abuse me, and then they just like end up getting more angry because you're going against their status quo of just, being what their normalized life is. But people change all of the time, and if you let enough time pass, even if it is a decade, things do come back around. So, for example, my first boyfriend in high school, we were together for 3.5, 4 years. And when I was a junior in high school to a sophomore in college, or junior in college, I think it was more like 4 years. And he wasn't ready for, quote, a relationship. I'm like, okay, well, what is this? Like, this isn't a relationship, but after we kind of went our separate ways, he did come back to me and wanted to get back together, and I just felt too heartbroken to even want a relationship with him. Like, maybe that's a bad example, but people change their minds all the time, and you don't have to necessarily punish people with your boundaries or punish people with like, oh, well, you can't have me. It's really great for people to have those realizations, but I think that when you have more flexibility in your relationships with people, you're going to be happier, your relationships are going to be healthier, like, because not everyone's going to see your way, and like that's the thing, is like a lot of people are very like, oh no, it's going to be my way, and it's not the reality, if that makes any sense at all. Ten of Swords. Yeah, so there's been betrayal here with the King of Swords. Or King of Wands. I'm gonna read this King in reverse now. So this King in reverse gets very, very tyrannical, very aggressive, like the temper tantrum type. You know, the kinds of men who you walk on eggshells with because you're just afraid that they're going to blow up at any moment. And they do that because they've also been through really fucked up situations, or no one's really observed or acknowledged their messed up situations before. So they take it out on the people closest to them because they have never been validated. And the thing is too, is that the male narrative is like very, very stoic. Like there's no space for a lot of men to like have the even the vulnerability to talk about the issues that they've been through. But these are like awful issues. Like I have this horrible story of one of my good friends, their mother just recently, my good friend's boyfriend, their mother just recently got murdered. It's horrible, you know. She was like her face was like defiled, and she was, you know, strangled to death. And you know, people have these really horrible fates, awful fates, and there are moments where you could have gone in a different direction. There are moments that are presented to you, opportunities that are presented to you, where you could have made a different choice, but you didn't have the resources, the capacity, the knowledge, the understanding, the wisdom, the rest. You know, you didn't have what you needed to make the right decision for yourself. On survival mode, there's definitely a survival mode aspect here for sure. Very heavy survival mode. Seven of Cups. Yeah, so this is all about illusion. We've been seeing so many positive ratings in what I've been posting on YouTube, and this is like, you know, this is like a karmic reading that we have right here for sure. So the Seven of Cups is all about illusion, like the shiny things, but aren't shiny, and you take off the tinfoil and it's just like poop wrapped in tinfoil, or, you know, with spray painted and gold paint. Here, someone maybe is thought, and there's an illusion in a love situation, maybe an illusion in what they thought that they had. It wasn't real, or they needed more. Eight of Pentacles again. Yeah, so someone definitely has wanted, like, someone has been in the social narrative, following the status quo just to follow the status quo, and they're not happy. There's no emotional fulfillment here. There's confusion, there's illusion, there's betrayal, there's stubborn energy, there's, you know, missing out on opportunities too, because you're just stuck in this like mind fuck of a situation. And that's why the expression is if it's too good to be true, it usually is. Two of Wands. Yeah, so this is a card of seeking new truths, looking out at the horizon and wondering what else is out there. I think this card is also about duality as well. So yin and yang aspect here with the Four of Swords. Someone definitely had to learn here. And that's the thing is too, is like people have to learn the hard way. You can yell at someone till you're blue in the face, but if their mother hasn't taught them, and if they're a grown person and they don't know, they need to go through these fuck shit situations to really get it. Let's see. And that's just what it is. Usually arrogance and ignorance and all that kind of, like, arrogance and ignorance is like one of the worst combinations and character flaws in people, because they're too ignorant to realize how arrogant they are, and then they're too arrogant to realize how ignorant they are, and like no capacity to learn new things and no capacity to see things in a different way or to understand a different perspective. And that's fine. Like, it's not in your control. But say like but that's also like, this is very karmic as I go. This is very karmic, this rating. This is like someone, what movie was I watching? But also karmic in some of the worst ways. Like, I watched this movie last night. I forgot. The Other Girls or something like that. And it had Cameron Diaz. She's so funny. She's married to like one of the biggest comedian directors who did like Knocked Up and 40-Year-Old Virgin, and she's married to the director of that. I don't know her name, but she's a hilarious actress. I was watching last night. I was giggling to myself. And then also that supermodel, Kate Middleton. Oh no, not Kate Middleton. Kate Upton. Excuse me. But Kate Middleton's also beautiful, for the record. Different type of beauty, I think, for sure. But it was about how these people this couple, married for 20 years, and she finds out that her husband is cheating on her. And not just only does he have a mistress or a girlfriend who wasn't aware of the fact that he had a married wife, or was married, whatever. Sorry, I'm just like trying to reiterate it correctly. Not only that, but he also had a mistress, so he's playing around, seeing all these people, and like she thought she was like, it was the best thing since sliced bread to marry a guy like that, and didn't feel like she could leave him confidently, and needed a lot of help to kind of get over the illusion, and support to deal with the betrayal of it all. And he ended up being left out in the cold. But just like people who do that kind of stuff, like people who are serial cheaters or who choose to be assholes, they have a really skewed perspective on how the world works. Like that guy felt entitled to sabotage his relationship and see as many women as he wanted, and that he didn't owe anyone an explanation, and that it was in his right to do something like that. And that's kind of like people who treat people poorly tend to have that type of mentality. They think that they don't owe anyone anything. And it's true, like you don't owe anyone anything, but just to be harsh or to be mean or to be inconsiderate for the sake of it, because you don't have it in you to even express empathy or compassion, especially if in your opposite sex relationships. Like, I think it's very difficult for some men to be empathetic towards women. because they have so much misogynistic, chauvinistic kind of status quo, what's the word, like programming, where like it's, hopefully that makes sense, but this is kind of what this is reminding me of. And this woman also had to go through this kind of shit. You know, she married this guy when she was 24, to realize, to learn that she can do better. Yeah, so Eight of Pentacles. This is someone who's, you know, just kind of buckled down, put their head down, and trying to work through all their issues. Like, even if they're left out in the cold, even if they've been stubborn, like, they just don't have what they need to feel secure enough. Ten of Cups. So this is opposite energy here. Ten of Cups and Ten of Swords. The King of Wands. I'm not sure how to interpret this. I looked at the bottom of the deck. It has the Chariot here. So this is all about, like, you know, riding forward, forcibly going forward. Maybe something looks happy on the outside, but it's not. So maybe there's a situation where, you know, happy wife, happy kids, lots of money, everything looks picture perfect. But behind closed doors, the father's a drunk, the mother is cheating on him because he's a drunk and like can't get a hard on or whatever. The kid has a mental health issue, you know, has to go on medication, not just like anxiety, but just like severe schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, borderline, whatever it might be. Page of Pentacles. Yeah, so there's an offer here. I'm just getting a lot of aggressive energy right now. Just like so much. Yeah, just like I'm getting all these like spiritual, just like a lot of aggression right now on this table. So someone's pissed too. The Page of Pentacles, like maybe someone put their offer out on the table and they're too afraid of jeopardizing what they already had to actually take that offer. But then what this is like an illusion. It's an illusion. Everything comes out in the wash. Like, even if you get married to someone and you're with them for 20 years, like, they will still betray you 20 years and you'll still find out that they're a cheating, lying scumbag, sleazeball. Like, you'll find out. Some people don't care, some women care, or some people, you know, whatever. People, it's interchangeable, gender interchangeable. Women cheat all the time too. But you can try to help people. Like, I know that for the people that I've loved, I've tried to help them before, in unreciprocated love situations. Like, say I've been in love with someone who didn't love me back twice. And it just happens, it's just an experience that everyone tends to have on this planet. And I wanted to help him understand, like, I wanted to make him see how toxic not only he was, but the people that he was surrounded by were. Gossiping, judging, self-righteous behavior, entitled behavior, narcissistic behavior, all that kind of stuff. And I'm super sensitive to it too, because I've had to overcome that in my awareness, and I don't surround myself with it at this point in time. Like, I would rather be alone than touch certain people and situations with a 10-foot pole, honestly. So someone here, like, sometimes it just has to get so bad, like, you have to, like, literally hit rock bottom for you to understand that this isn't where you're supposed to be. Yeah, disappointment. Someone's very disappointed. Feels very betrayed. Feels confused, like they're under some illusion. Feels like they've passed up on opportunities. Feels like it looks great, but it's just a nightmare behind closed doors. They didn't listen to the right people. And now they're stuck. It is what it is. It is what it is, what it is, what it is. And this is a fucking mess. Yeah. Ain't that the truth? There's been no truth here. Someone has to go. Like, sometimes, like, say you meet someone, or say for example, you have a job opportunity and you choose not to take that job opportunity because you're committed to what you've already been doing. And maybe it's a career change, but that career change will allow you to make more money. You'll be introduced to more people. You'll have higher or better connections with people. But because you're already committed to something where you're making, I don't know, minimum wage or whatever, and you're too involved in the situation, like you're too deep into the situation, that it has to unravel on its own. And it's unraveling here. Someone needs to relax. Someone needs to take a time out, learn, really reflect. And the best way is to communicate your newfound self-awareness and the truth that going through this fuck shit nightmare is just dull. It's like dull, mundane, confusion, illusion, all for what? Yeah. A lot of harshness right here. Someone needs to be a little bit more flexible. On how you approach things and situations and relationships. Take care. Love, light, and blessings to everyone.